appreciate you being able to polish up on Robert's Rules of Orders things. All right, we're moving on to Resolution 1277, authorizing the selection of a new wholesale electric rate option, modified demand and energy for the purchase of electric power for municipalities.
You heard from Sherry Ottinger last month in a briefing on this subject. Today, you have official action to authorize the selection of a new wholesale rate. I'll ask Sherry to present that one.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Last month, we did discuss the upcoming changes TVA is making to its wholesale rate. So I would like to take just a few minutes today to review those changes prior to your consideration of Resolution 1277. In April 2011, TVA did change its wholesale rate structure. At that time, they presented distributors with two options for wholesale rates. One was called nearly flat time of use, and the other was called seasonal demand energy. TVA's intention at that time was that the seasonal demand energy would expire October 2012, and that all distributors would then move to the time of use rate. However, after many months of discussions with distributors, TVA has revised that plan. They are going to have the seasonal demand energy rate expire. They are going to continue the nearly flat time of use rate. But in addition to that, they have added two more wholesale rate options for distributors to select from. We have reviewed all three options, and we are recommending that we go with the modified demand and energy rate option. This rate option most closely resembles the rate that we pay TVA today. This chart shows the rate that we pay today, which is expiring, and the three rate options that I just mentioned. There are a lot of numbers on this chart. The key thing that I would have you take away from this chart is that regardless of which of the three options we choose, we will go to a seasonal aspect on our energy rates. You can see at the top, these are the demand rates. They are staying the same as they are today, regardless of which option we choose. The changes are in the energy rates. Today, we pay TVA for energy, and I will add this is a base rate and does not include fuel costs, which, as you are aware, changes every month. But under the base rate, we pay TVA 3.362 cents, whether it's summer, winter, or the shelter months. Our options now all include to have a higher rate for the summer and lower rates for winter and for the transition months. So you can see here, we would begin paying TVA for a summer rate, almost 3.6 cents, then 3.3 for winter. This is, again, the modified demand and energy is the option that we would recommend. The other two options, the nearly flat time of use, has not changed, and the different feature of it is that it has on-peak and off-peak pricing. Now, TVA has designed these rates such that these two rates for on-peak and off-peak, in general, should average out to be the same. This makes TVA, from a revenue standpoint, indifferent to which option we select. And again, we would choose this rate. It is most similar to what we pay today, and we also believe that it introduces less risk for KUB and its customers.
And Sherry, just out of curiosity, in the summer, the peak is the afternoons when it's 100 degrees.
Correct.
When is the peak in the winter?
At night when it's coldest. You also get some effect in the mornings as people wake up, factories come on. So that peak window is probably really from midnight to 6 a.m., 7 a.m. So very different peak
Commercial
time.
demand in the winter doesn't affect, it's not a peak, it's when it's cold and everybody has to be on at home.
Correct. The peaks are generally created by weather.
Okay.
Any other questions on these rates? And then just to point out to you some key points regarding our wholesale rate decision. We will not need to modify our retail rate structures. In April 2011, we introduced the seasonal aspect to all of our rate schedules. So even though we will pay TVA a different rate in summer versus winter, that cost difference will flow through our purchase power adjustment mechanism, just as the fuel costs that occur monthly, those changes flow through every month. Also, there will be no impact to KUB's margin based on this wholesale rate decision. And then lastly, there will be minimal impact to customers' bills. There, I can't say that there will be no impact because again, that seasonal variation will affect their customers. But as I just showed you on the chart, that is an aspect that we cannot get away from, regardless of which option we select.
So when you say minimal impact, our customers are also going to be billed based on the time that they're using?
Not yet, not for us.
Okay.
Could you go back to that space? If on the modified time of use, is that not kind of where we're headed? I mean, over time, isn't that what TVA is trying to get us to be more conservation conscious?
Yes,
in terms of when we get-
TVA is wanting to send price signals, and as you can see on that modified rate, there's a greater differential. The current time of use, there's a 1 cent differential there, and if they select modified, it is a 2 cent differential. That is where we're headed. However, what TVA has seen is that distributors want to choose the pace at which they get there. Everyone is not ready. And for example, if we were on this time of use rate, and we paid TVA 5 cents for on-peak, 3 cents for off-peak, we would hope that it would average out to this. But if it didn't, and we had a higher percentage on peak than was anticipated, we would pay TVA more than the 3.6. So that lack of price certainty is what makes us reluctant to go to this wholesale rate, because we want to bill our customers the rate that we are paying. And under this scenario, we would pay these rates. We would hope it would turn out to be this average, and to the extent that it didn't, we would be short or over. It could go either way. So, and I will mention, that is why we have that purchase power adjustment mechanism in the deferred accounts. Ultimately, we would be kept whole. But for any given year, any given season, we would like to match up what we pay and what we recover as closely as we can.
The modified time is similar to what we offer to some of our larger users now, is that right?
Correct. Our largest customers can choose time of use at several
And
half.
do they generally choose it?
I think it's about half and half.
'Cause I mean, I guess the only thing, my only comment, and I think that, you know, and I'm gonna vote for this, and I think we should do it this way, but I imagine that if it's, what, it's 40% more expensive on peak than off peak, or more, yeah, 40%, it might encourage people to save. It might encourage people to drive their clothes at night.
I think when we can pass that price signal to the customers,
Yeah.
it will. But right now, we would still be charging them this rate, whether they consumed during the peak time or the off-peak, they would see this on their bill. Because our metering and our billing systems are not yet set up on that residential level to bill on-peak and off-peak.
Will we know at the end of this if we would have done it the other way, if we would have saved?
I think we could always go back and look, and
Okay.
I could probably find a test case year that would support this rate. And I could find a test case year that would support this one, and I could find one that would support this one. What I can't do is I can't predict with certainty next year and the following year which one would be better. But I think you could prove a case for any of these rates. And again, they are very, very close by design. TVA does not want to lose revenue, so to the fact that TVA is revenue neutral on these options, we're cost neutral on these options.
What are other distributors going to do now?
We won't know for certain until probably October 1. We have heard that some are moving to time of use. Not last April, but April 2011, a high majority stayed with demand energy. So we are hearing that some will be moving.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the 1277.
I said, Sherry, are you finished with the press?
Unless you have any more questions.
Okay.
Didn't mean to cut you off.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have other comments, questions, any public comment?
This is not considered a tax, not a tax increase, so rate increase, right?
Okay, we need a roll call vote.
Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Cannell.
Aye.
Commissioner Rising. Mr. Robinson.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Resolution 1277 is passed.
Thank you very much. Resolution 1278, authorizing participation in the TBA's Green Power Providers